Hey, how y'all doing? Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. Um, y'all, hope y'all are having a awesome and amazing Thursday. It is Friday Eve. Juneteenth is coming. Okay, it should be nice outside. We get us some good weather, and this is a good time for us to be. If you can't tell, I'm getting my back together. We're not there yet, but hold on. We're getting there. We're getting there. Just hold on. We're coming home. Yeah, so we'll be there soon. We'll be there shortly. So what's the topic for today? The topic for today is dealing with consistency in your business, and sometimes it's really not inconsistency. Sometimes you are showing up for your business regularly, but it's just the way that you're working it. You feel like you're being overworked. You feel like you're working extremely hard in your business. My shirt looks lopsided. And so we're going to talk about why that is. We're going to talk about some ways that you can eliminate that and work a little bit smarter in your business rather than hard. We're going to talk about all those things. As usual, I'll probably be on here about 20 to 30 minutes, but I'm trying to maintain consistency of coming on here regularly, talking to you all, and just having a conversation. And whoever shows up, if you have questions, if you watch this on the replay, type replay in the comments. If you have questions and you're watching this on the replay, drop them in the comments. And I'll be happy to answer them or provide more input, put you in a direction to get you the answer that you're looking for and whatever that looks like. So let's get into it. When it comes to running a business, and especially if you're doing one-on-one coaching and you're talking to individuals regularly on a one-on-one basis, let's just talk about that for a second. That involves a lot of time management, case management, because you have to manage each person's file. You need to be very organized. You need to be able to communicate and respond in a prompt manner. And then you got to review things because, sometimes we get them homework and things that they have to do. And now it's our job to review it so that we can make sure we take them to the next step when we meet with them again. And so sometimes with things like that, starting out, a lot of people might rush to get a CRM because like, oh, I need a CRM to manage it. When technically you don't necessarily have to have a CRM, you just need a system. That's what you need, a system. And so you're showing up. If you're making all your appointments, maybe you're not posting content like you would like to post it. You're not being consistent. Neither am I. Like I tell y'all all the time on this channel, I come here and I keep it real. I do not post as consistently as I would like to. I do not put out things as often as I would like to, because the reality is sometimes I'm actually out here running the business and I don't have time to do those things. But what I'm going to make sure is happening is I have some type of way for somebody who wants to purchase from me. So yeah, I may not come out here and I didn't have consistent like videos that I popped out content, but if you want to work with me, I bet you it's a clear way for you to do it. I bet you it's a clear way for you to get on my calendar with smoothly, seamlessly, without any issue. And I make sure of that. You can find it in my profile. You can find it down in the comments. You can find it on my social media profiles. I make sure that there is a way for you to get on my calendar if you need to. Now, when it comes to Practice the Profit, I typically take applications, and Practice the Profit doors are closed right now, but I'm just saying when they are open. Right now they're closed, but when they are open. So let's get into it. So one of the first things that I want to address is when you call yourself inconsistent and you beat yourself up because you feel like you're not doing something as consistent as you would like to. Sometimes that's not really the issue, because you're one person, especially if this is a solopreneur that I'm talking to. If I'm talking to you and you're a solopreneur, especially for you, because it's really hard. You only have two hands and two legs. If you're lucky, if you're blessed, you have two hands and two legs. And with that being said, how can you do everything? How can you be everywhere at the same time? How can you do all the things? It's not realistic to put those type of expectations on yourself. So you have to prioritize the things that keep the business moving. You have to prioritize the things that help you get to the point where maybe you can hire somebody so that they can help you with your consistency. And that's the type of executive decisions that need to be made when you have a business. So I got my notes right here. So this will be my notes that I'll be checking in on, just so you know. But yeah, so maybe you forgot to post content. Maybe you only follow up with people when you remember to follow up with them. You have somebody you were having a conversation with, or some type of deliverable or work product someone asked you for, and maybe you didn't get back to them in a prompt manner. Somebody inquired about your services and it took you a week to get them a proposal. And because of that, you beat yourself up and then you feel like you're not inconsistent. It's not that you're not inconsistent, it's that you don't have a system. And having a system will help you kind of eliminate that, as well as it'll help you stop having to remember all the things, because you're not a robot. Like, you're not AI, you are a human. And so when you are a human, you can only do human things. You know what I mean? I know it sounds so simple, but it's when you process that in your mind and you let your mind understand that you're only human and start to only expect human things from yourself, it will be a relief off your chest. Okay. So you may call yourself and critique yourself and have different things that you complain about with yourself, but the reality is what it is you need is a system. And we're going to talk about a little bit later. So the profit audit, if you want the profit audit, it's in my comments. I mean, it's in the description of this video, but it's basically to show you the 7 important systems you need in your business. And for some people, talking about adding 7 new systems sounds a little overwhelming. So in this video, we're only going to talk about 3. Now, to see those 3, I'll talk about those a little bit later. Keep watching. But right now, we're talking about what an example of a system might look like. And of course, I'll elaborate a little bit later, because I'm always going to make sure you understand when you walk away from one of my videos. And a system looks like, I was just on vacation. So I traveled for the majority of the month of May. I was gone. I was traveling. I mean, like overseas traveling. I mean, like 10, 11-hour flight away traveling. Okay. But I still got booked on my calendar. I still came back to consultations on my calendar. I still came back to calls. I had pending contracts that I still was able to move forward with. And I put an autoresponder on my email so that people would not expect me to be responding promptly, to make sure that they knew that I would be gone out of town. Okay. So that's what a system looks like. It did not require me to be physically booking them. It didn't require me to physically put them on the calendar, physically have a conversation and, play ping pong with them and email like, okay, well, I'm free on Tuesday between 10 and 12, and then Thursday from 2 and 5. It didn't require me to do that. That wasn't a requirement. I was out enjoying my vacation. I didn't even take my laptop with me. That's what a system looks like, because that's what helped me come back and actually be able to show up and be present for my business, because I was able to take that break and I was able to really detach to give myself and my mind a break. And what happened is, I've been writing a book since last year, and I just haven't got a time to write in it as much as I would like to. Again, not as consistent as I would like to be. I got a clear mind to where ideas just start flowing in my head while I was traveling, because I did not have to worry about how my business was operating with me gone. Okay. So that's my first point. The second point is, yes, you're motivated, you're ambitious, you're very passionate about what you do, but that alone is not what's going to make your business sustainable. That alone is not what's going to help your business continue to operate. You cannot operate your business on motivation. It come and go. Sometimes I'm really motivated about my business and I'm gung-ho, and like I said, I get a clear mind and ideas come to my head. And sometimes I'm not, I'm tired. Because again, I'm a human, so I only can do human things. And so with that being said, motivation cannot make this business run, because if you know, like I know, it's going to be times where you are going to feel like shutting this mofo down. Now, that passion that you have for what you do is going to help you keep it open and not close it. But it's going to be times where you're not going to be motivated. And that's just a realistic look of what it looks like at the end of the day. So that's something that you have to sit down and talk to yourself about. So, like I said, while I was on vacation, I was able to get consultation calls. I got booked. I had things on my calendar, all the things. And with that, that's what you want your business to do. You don't want your business relying on when you feel like doing business, because that means that that's what your customers, that's what your partners or your clients, that's what they're going to see. They're going to see the difference in that energy. They're not going to see that consistent. You want to be a business that consistently shows up, because that's how you establish your brand authority. That's how you cement your business footprint. You establish your core thought leadership and what that looks like. That's what that is. And with that being said, you can't do that if you're only relying on motivation. Now, let's talk about 3 systems that's very important for you to have for your business. The first system we're going to talk about is a lead generation system. And I've said it before, I'm going to say it again, and you might hear me say it a lot of times. These are the 3 systems that you're going to need for your business. The first is a lead gen system. If you don't have consultation calls or whatever it is, the method that you use to bring people and close the deal, if you don't have any coming in or any way to bring more in, there's a problem, because your business cannot sustain unless you consistently have clientele, consistently have cash flow. And sometimes you have a lot of people who do exceptionally well in their business, and they start making a lot of money and they do well. And so they excel and they're killing it. But when that dries out, then you come a time where it's like, okay, well, how do I get customers? And that's when they have to build a lead generation system. I feel like this happened a lot post-COVID. A lot of people started businesses during 2020. And then after 2020, things were going well. People were at home. People were shopping more because they were sitting at home and they couldn't go outside. And then once outside opened back up, people went back outside and started spending money outside again. And a lot of businesses start to sink in sales. And now they were forced to say, okay, well, how do I bring people to my business? How do I go out and get sales? And so that's when you have to build different systems. So lead gen is one of them. And lead gen is just like it sounds, lead generation. What system are you using to generate leads? To generate leads, to get people to know that your business exists so that you can sell them in whatever way you sell them. If that's a consultation call, if that's a form that they fill out, if it's a landing page that you send them to, whatever it looks like for your business, you have to have a consistent way that you have people continuously enter. If you don't have a consistent way and you go not a day, I'm sorry, that's a little extreme. If you go weeks, months, and you haven't had anybody entering that system, then you don't have a lead gen system, and you need to work on one desperately if you want your business to be sustainable, to thrive. You want to hire somebody, you need consistent income to come in, and that's just the reality of what it looks like. The second thing is going to be sales. You need a sales system. A sales system is important because now that you got your lead gen system, you got how you bring them to you. Okay, how you going to change them from interested to sold? You got to have a certain system of how you do that. And what I do want to say too is, just because you create one don't mean that it's going to stick to that same one. Creating systems in your business is not a one and done type process. It's a trial and error type process, because for one, you have to think about how sales looks to you. A lot of us have grown up and built, harsh ideas of what sales looks like. We created trauma around what sales look like. And even when it comes to us making purchases, sometimes we have a certain process we go through with purchasing. So when we start selling, we're selling to customers like ourselves. And maybe our target audience doesn't buy in the same way that we buy. And so we have to, one, stop associating those negative salespeople or whatever bad sales experience you had. Stop associating that with what selling can look like in your business. You have to determine what sales looks like in your business. So for example, me, I don't like to create shame with my sales. I don't like putting people down with my sales. I don't like pointing the finger at other businesses about, well, they're not doing that, I'm doing this. Like, my business should be good enough, my product should be good enough to stand alone, that I don't need to put somebody else down to lift my business up. My business should be able to be lifted up off the thread of the value that I'm providing and the transformations that are received by my clients. That's what I'm selling. I'm not selling what I do better than them. I don't know what they do. I'm not in their company on their back end. So a sales system is very important because you have to have a set way that you do it. So you'll basically go through the process. And as you go through the process, you'll start to analyze it and say, okay, I did this, I did that, I did this right. Okay, I see this seems to work and this seems to get me a positive response, but for some reason I'm not converting. Well, you got to try something else until you find out what consistently converts. Once you figure out what consistently converts, what transformation you sell, what target, that's why your target customer is so important, because you have to understand exactly what they value and what type of transformation they seek and what type of transformation will solve the problems and pain points that they are experiencing. Once you get that down, okay, now let's go to the sales process to help them understand that you are the one who can solve that problem and that you have the ability and can give them a transformation to get them where they want to be and more. But you're going to have trial and error to understand what works in your business and works comfortably for you. If it's something that you have to, and it feels like you're struggling and it really hurts for you to do it, that's not the sales process for you. You have to pick something that's going to flow out of your mouth, something that you're going to do well with, something that you're going to feel good about, something that you can believe in. If you don't believe in what you're selling, nobody else is going to believe in it either. Okay. So the third system that you need is a delivery system. So once you got people sold and you got their money, how are you going to make them have an experience that, one, makes them want to be a repeat customer, and two, makes them want to go tell other people about you and now become an advocate for your business? So this is very important. And what does this look like? This looks like when you buy something from somebody or you enter someone's ecosystem and then automatically you get an email like, welcome. And then they tell you like, welcome to my tribe, welcome to the family. And it might have gifts or emojis or funny jokes. They're letting you know their personality and what you can expect when you over in their system. And so that's all a part of creating an experience for them. And you got to have a consistent delivery system. If I just paid you for this download or I just paid you for this book, you tell me I got to wait till 2 weeks till you remember to send it to me? That's not going to work for me. I have to have a set delivery system that's going to deliver the product consistently and provide an experience for my clients to help them, one, enjoy their time over here and understand it's nice over here. They like it over here. And I want that customer to now become somebody who goes and talks to their friends, that goes and tells their family. And now they become an advocate for my business, which gives me consistent sales without me having to do it, because it's much easier to create sales from word of mouth. Word of mouth is the best advertisement. I don't care. Okay. So again, we're going to go over the 3 systems that you need in your business. You need a lead generation system, you need a sales system, and you need a delivery system. And if you understand that, what did I just show you? That's basically the customer journey. They learned about you, came into your world, learned about your business, what you do, starting to get to know you. Now you meet with them or whatever the process is. And now they've converted to a client and made a purchase. Now that they've made a purchase, a system that's going to deliver what they purchased. What does that look like? What does that experience look like? Does that look like you email them every 2 weeks? Does that look like they get a call with you? Do they get some type of special benefit or perk? What does that delivery system look like? And do you have something already in place that is delivering it so that they can get a consistent experience? When we go into a different stores or we have a certain expectation we've created about that brand based on how they've delivered in the past, because they have a delivery system. So we know what to expect. If we go to the drive-through, we know exactly they're going to take our order, and then they're going to take our money, and then they're going to give us our food. We know what to expect. We know when we go to certain restaurants, they're going to be nicer and they're going to be pleasant because they built that delivery system so that we can get a consistent experience across the board. Okay. So that's the 3 systems that you need. Now, my last point that we're going to talk about is starting with the bottleneck and not the entire business. And this goes back to my earlier point when I was like, some people feel like they have to have a new CRM, they got to have a website. And I did the same thing. When I first started my business, and I tell this story all the time, I bought 500 business cards, like fresh, just got my business, bought 500 business cards, and paid for somebody to like design my logo and do like brand theory to determine like what colors I should make my business and all of that. Did that. Tell me why I don't use that logo. I don't use those colors. I don't use any of those things anymore. And so what I should have been doing is spending time on building a viable business and building viable systems in my business to actually deliver the business. Building a funnel before you've actually found out what you have proven works with your customer might be a waste of your time. Because if you build a funnel full of things that's not converting, guess what? You're spending money on a funnel, but it's not a converting funnel. And a converting funnel is not what that was. There's no point. It's a waste of your money and the time it took to build that bad boy, because they can take some time depending on how complex your funnel is. Or you could have a funnel that's not like computer generated or things like that. Sometimes it's really important for you to just have one simple process. Have one simple process that helps you deliver what you need to deliver. And once you master that and you're building and you got customers coming in, you've mastered that one simple process. Okay, now let's branch out and use the money that this business has made to go buy some systems and to go buy some apps and buy some things, instead of starting the business, buying the CRM, getting a funnel, and spending all this money. But we haven't proven if the funnel we're setting up is what our customer is going to convert with. We need to prove that first. Like I have one of my clients from Practice to Profit. Well, I guess students would be the better word. And so she was talking, and I sent the catch-up email to kind of check in with them. Oh, hey, Lisa. To try to catch up with them. And she was like, oh, well, I have some offers. And I'm like, well, how many people have you offered it to? And she's like, well, I haven't offered it to. Well, then it's not an offer. How you calling it an offer and you haven't offered anybody? Like, you have to find out if something is working before you take it to the next level. You don't want to take it to the next level and jump out the window and then find out, oh, damn, like I was supposed to put blue tape around the window before I jumped out the window. Like things like that is why you don't want to jump off the deep end with your business at the end of the day. So the question I have, and a question I want you to ask yourself, is think about the things that you have to consistently do over and over again in your business, but manually. Those are the type of things, something that you have to do. You have to do this in your business. You've consistently had to do this to serve your clients. Those are the type of things you want to think about, and you want to think about them in the terms of how you can automate that. Those are the original systems I would say start to add apps or software or spend money on. I'm a firm believer that when you purchasing something for your business, I want to spend the money my business made. I don't want to spend my money. My money is for me. I got my goals. I got my, budget. I got my bills, my investment. Like I already have my little personal system of what I do with my money when I get paid. I'm not interested in spending all that money on my business and taking away from my personal goals. So I want to use my business to build up the money. And so a lot of times I think we get really excited about our business. Then you got all these different gurus online telling us you need this, you need that, and you need all these things. So we go out and buy these things before we've proven that the system even works in our business. So again, I'm going to go over it one more time because we're rounding out as we at 24 minutes. The 3 systems that I highly recommend that you build in your business, one of them is going to be a lead generation system. If at any given point, you don't have a way for people to get in your world and learn about your business, then it's going to make it hard for you to be able to sell them. If you don't, you can look on your calendar. And so this depends on whatever is the way that you sell. If you sell by consultation calls, but you can look on your calendar for 3 weeks and you don't have one consultation call, you need to build a lead generation system that is consistently building leads to get people on your calendar so that you can continuously get them to sell to become customers. So you need a lead generation system. That's the first one, because you're going to bring people in to learn about your company, come into your world, and give you a chance to present the value and the transformation that you bring to help them solve their problems and pain points that they're experiencing. So once you do that, now you need a sales system. Happy Thursday. Now you need a sales system, because your sales system is what's going to actually sell them. And so that's why I said before, you need to play a little trial and error to see what works for you. And sometimes this takes you exploring what sales looks like to you. Sometimes it takes you exploring, do you have any type of bad relationship with sales? So for me personally, I originally did not like selling. Selling was what I hated in my business. I didn't care for it. I stalled on selling for so long in my business because I associated it with like the timeshare presentations and car salesmen and, all the people. I associated sales with them. So it wasn't, I didn't look forward to that experience, and I was determined not to be like them in my business. So it took for me to realize that I create what sales looks like in my business. I don't have to sell like them. That's how they sold. That has nothing to do with me and my business and how I show up. So once I was able to get past that mental block, I built a sales system. And then once that sales system didn't work, I changed it. I tweaked it. I analyzed it. I looked to see what part was working and what part people were moving through, and where were they stopping? Where were they falling off? Where were they consistently asking to get off my email list? Where were they consistently not being responsive on a consultation call? And then I changed that wording, I changed that language, and I changed it until I built something that is like, oh, okay, this is working. People are okay. So now I've built a sales system. So now that's the second. The last system that I think you need to start out with is going to be a delivery system. Because think about it. You got the lead gen system, so you got them into your world. You got the sales system. So now you've got them to the point where they bought from you and now they're a customer. What are you using to deliver the product? What are you using to deliver the experience and make sure it's a consistent experience that makes them enjoy their time there, want to stay and repurchase, as well as tell all their friends about you and now become an advocate for your business? Because once they become an advocate and they go tell people, like, what was that TikTok that went viral? Somebody come and get you one of these. It's a chicken salad. And then that place blew up. Prime example, word of mouth, when somebody else talks about it, it's like, oh my God, this is so good. Like, how many people? That's how Tabitha Brown blew up. She was sitting in the car tasting food, and her response to tasting the food, it was I think it was like a vegetarian sandwich from Whole Foods or something, but that's what blew her up, her response to how good the sandwich was. So when you can get somebody else to talk about your business, but how do you do that? You have to deliver a consistent product. So you got to create a system that delivers. When they sign up, they should automatically get a welcome email. So you should have some type of system automatically delivering that. When you go to any store, anything, any car, it's a consistency that they have built of how they deliver their service that creates your image of them and that company to decide what you want to go. So prime example, you got Walmart, you got Target. You have a certain experience you expect to go when you go in Walmart. You have a certain experience you expect to go in Target, because they have created a delivery system that delivers their product to you consistently in a certain way. So now, to the point where you created an expectation that when you shop with them, you know what you're going to experience, and that's why you're continually going. Some people will not shop at Walmart. They don't like the experience that Walmart is providing. Yeah, everybody's showing up. They don't like the experience that they provide, so they've decided to opt out of that. So that's what I mean by a delivery system that consistently is delivering what you provide to your customers without you having to manually do it. Because when you have to manually deliver that system, sometimes you're going to forget. Like I said, you are a human, and humans can only do human things. Humans can't do robotic things. Humans are not AI. So you can't depend on, if when I remember to send that email, and if I bought this product from you, or I bought this download, this book, this workbook, whatever that is, I'm not waiting 3 weeks to get my book. I bought it today. Why can I not get it today? So just have something to automatically deliver that. And you can do that in a very simple way. So for an example, if you're starting out your business and you don't have, your business is not making enough money for you to like pay for all these super expensive, there is a thing called Zapier. You can use Zapier to connect different applications to each other to where when someone purchases something like, I don't know, whatever product you have them delivering, maybe once they purchase it, it triggers an email. It connects to your email and it'll automatically shoot them an email. And that you can set up for free. It's called a Zap. So there are ways for you to deliver things. You're looking for a way to, learn more about your clients or figure out Google Forms. Like, so it's so many different things that are out there that are more economical that you can use to build systems. I don't want you to feel pressured to feel like you have to go and get CRMs and funnels and buy all the things before you have a proven system that you have mastered. And it's like, okay, we're just going to keep running this back. So if you got questions, let me know. That's pretty much the end of what we talked about today. We kind of talked about how sometimes we beat ourselves up in our business and we think why we're consistent because we're not showing up like we want to show up, or we're not posting as much as we want to post, or we're only, being able to do things by memory. We're doing all the things manually, which is, as a solopreneur, is making it hard for you to do all the things. So sometimes that causes you to be a little delayed, or maybe your email might be a little late, or you might forget about it and have to remember to follow up with people. And so because of that, you beat yourself up. And I just want people to understand that does not mean that you're inconsistent. You're still showing up for your business regularly. What it means is you have to create some systems to kind of help you and get some of that load off your back. Because when you create those systems, they work without you. And so, like I said, my example was I was just out of town. I was just actually out of town a lot for a long time, but I still got booked. I still came back to consultation calls. I came back to calls to finish, contracts that I was negotiating before I left. I picked right up on them, and I did not take my laptop with me. I did take my tablet, but I did not take my laptop with me. The only thing I can say that I worked on my vacation is my book. I had an autoresponder on my email, so I wasn't responding to emails, any of those things, because I really needed to give my mind a break. And so when you continuously operate while you're on vacation, it's not giving your mind a rest, so you never really come back with a clear head. So I had to have a system in place so that my business didn't stop because I was away. So that's the topic for today. I hope you found this helpful. If you're watching this on a replay, make sure you put in the comments that you're watching the replay. Get the Profit Audit. It's a free 2-minute review. It's in the comments. It's in the description, but it talks about what different systems you need in your business. And it's kind of a way to see what systems you already have in place, and you can identify what systems you need. There's a total of 7 that you need, but today we talked about 3 because you don't need to start with all 7. It's not an overnight type thing, but having those 3 systems is really important. Now, if you have questions about, okay, well, how do I set up this system without spending a whole bunch of money? Drop it in the comments and I'll make a video for you. Simple as that. Other than that, you all take care. Make sure you do something to show up for yourself, as always. And you already know what I'm going to say. It's time to stop practicing and start profiting.